We'll go to the bottom of the first, and we'll go to our sideline reporter, Ben Schafer. Ben, the weather has not been good here today.
Well, you mentioned that weather before that strikeout by Sam Landry, and I got to tell you, Dan, you know what they say. If you don't like the weather in Louisiana, just wait 5 minutes. Unfortunately for both of these teams, they had to wait about an hour and a half from the original start time. But luckily, great grounds crew here were able to keep that tarp on the field, remove it, and then rake that dirt in the infield to get it as dry as can be. But I will say this outfield grass is still very slick. Now, both of these teams tonight have very high-powered offenses, but I think the key for this game is going to be the defense. Both of these teams rank top 5 in the conference in fielding percentage, but these outfielders are really going to be put to the test on this wet grass, trying to stay on their feet and keep that ball in front of them. Dan, back to you guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Welcome back to Home Bank Soccer and Track Facility here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Tonight, we kick off Sunbelt play in a pivotal match for both teams. Graham Doty and Ben Schafer, delighted to have you with us tonight. And Ben, this is an Old Dominion team that won Conference USA last year, and now they are excited to make their Sunbelt debut tonight.
That's right, Graham, and it's a debut that we are very excited to see as well. Old Dominion started off this season with a bit of a rough patch, but since then have bounced back with 2 wins by way of the shutout and last Sunday's 2-2 draw against American University. Tonight, the Monarchs hope for their veteran players to play a big role in opening up conference play.
Key players to watch. First for Old Dominion, it's the senior from Turkey, Edgar Turkaloo.
Before this game, Coach Hine was very ecstatic about Turkaloo, telling us she is, quote, one of the most talented players I've ever seen. She is a 2-time Conference USA first-team selection, and tonight will be a fantastic opportunity for her to show off her capabilities to the Sunbelt competition.
After a trip out west, this is the first home game for Louisiana in almost a month, and the Raging Cajuns are happy to be back home.
Louisiana dealt with everything from altitude fatigue to adverse field conditions, so safe to say Coach McBride and company are exhilarated to be back home in Cajun country. The team is reeling from a disappointing 4-1 loss to Eastern Washington, but spirits are high entering tonight's Friday night matchup.
The key player tonight for Louisiana is the sophomore from Haiti, Ruthnie Matarine.
Perhaps one of the most decorated players on this UL team, Matarine is a former member of the Haiti national team and a member of the 2021 second team All-Sunbelt Conference. She scored the tying goal in UL's comeback win opening night and will look to bring that same spark into tonight's conference play opener.
Louisiana looks to snap a 2-game losing skid this evening, and Old Dominion wants to make a statement in their Sunbelt opener. First Touch is coming up next on ESPN+.
We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and we're going to check in quickly with our sideline reporter, Ben Schafer. Ben, looks like Mo has changed dugouts.
It absolutely has, Dan. After 8 innings of this series without scoring a run, the Cajuns came to life the last inning. After that home run by Vasquez, this dugout right next to me erupted. It is an absolute electric factory down here at ground level, and you can really feel that momentum starting to shift to the Cajun side. Dan, back to you guys.
Thanks, Ben. And our sideline reporter, Ben Schafer, is with Trojan head coach Eric Newell.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach Eric, for taking the time to join us. You mentioned earlier in our in-game interview that you guys came into this game with a bit of a pitching strategy and that y'all were going to stick to it, and apparently it worked out. 3 different pitchers, a combined shutout. What was the thought process going into that strategy?
Well, I'm going to answer that question, but the first thing I got to do is give glory to God. I felt I was praying that whole game, and I know these girls really, really wanted that, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, we had said early in the week we'd named Kate Peters the starter and that we were going to pitch by committee, and it was a 7-out rotation. And, you know, it's risky. It paid off, but the team bought into it, the whole coaching staff, we were in unison and just couldn't be more proud of our team.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, the risk did pay off. The offense had its moments in the 4th inning, 2 RBI to take the lead, but it was kind of quiet until the top of the 7th with that home run by Sarah Brake. How big was that home run and to help carry that momentum into the bottom of the 7th?
Yeah, that was a huge hit. You know, you're always talking about insurance runs and, you know, 3-0 feels, I mean, it just so much better than 2-0, honestly, especially when you're playing a ranked team and the Raging Cajuns here at home. So that was a huge, and it probably propelled us, gave us a little bit more momentum going into that 7th inning. So that was a big-time home run.
No, it's a bit of a stressful game, and it's a stressful time of the year for the players, both on and off the field. I know it's final season at school, conference tournament coming up. How do you think the players are handling the pressure of this time of the year?
Well, I mean, that's student athlete, and that's what makes these student athletes so special. You know, most of ours are done. They took a lot of their finals before we came down here. We got a few that are still in term 4 classes or whatnot, but yeah, them balancing, but that's the life of a student athlete. And so anybody who thinks it's easy, it's not. And I couldn't be more proud of that team and what they accomplished.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Coach Eric. Enjoy celebrating the win tonight, and good luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it.
Dan, back to you guys.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Ben.
Welcome to halftime. I'm Ben Schafer, joined today by senior guard for the Cajuns, Brandy Williams. Brandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want to start off by talking about your incredible track to getting back on the court. In the 2021-2022 season, you played 3 games. You were injured. You were out for the remainder of that season, and then the rest of the next season rehabbing your injury. I'm curious, how did that experience of still being with the team, more as a coach and mentor as opposed to a player, change your perspective?
I think it made me look at it as like the game is more precious, especially when you sit on the sideline. Like Coach Deacon would always tell me, you know, your role change whenever you sit on the bench. I think it helped me also to like look at things differently as like being a coach, like you realize what the coaches be saying and everything. So I think it changed my perspective in a good way. I think, you know, I say my injuries was a blessing in disguise because, you know, a lot of people may thought, you know, it probably was like, oh, she injured, all this other stuff. But in my eyes, I think it was a blessing because it made me realize that I had more to my game than what people thought.
And was it hard for you during that recovery to kind of remind yourself of your end goal of returning to the court, or did that always kind of stay at the forefront of your mind?
I think it was always, you know, at the forefront of my mind, especially having like the trainers, like at the time it was Big Shannon, she would always tell me like, you know, we'll pull up your film so you can watch yourself while you're doing your rehab, just so, you know, you'll never forget how good you are. But I would always say, like, I would never forget how good I am, but still having somebody that would do that for me and to have me to, like, remind myself of how I am as a player, I think that helped me in a good way.
Now, after that injury, it's been 718 days since you returned to the court at Cajun Dome to play your first game. That was on November 6th of this year. What is that experience like, waking up that morning after all that time knowing I'm finally going to play again?
Honestly, it was normal. I think when I had woke up, you know, people would ask me, are you nervous to play? And I'll be like, no. I think it's because I spent so much time with the girls and the team and everything that, like, it was already normal to me. So, like, a game day, it just felt like a normal feeling just because I've been with them the whole time.
What did it feel like at the end of the game when you finally got through it?
It felt good just to know, like, everybody was happy that I was back. I was happy I was back. So I think that day it was special, and it felt really good after the game.
Well, that's great. We have a lot more to talk about, specifically about this season. Stick around, folks. You won't want to miss it. We'll have the second part of our interview with Brandy Williams coming up next.